I am sitting in my attorney's office watching the woman I thought I would grow old with try to dismantle the prenup she signed 7 years ago. Her belly is swollen 6 months along, but I know the truth that makes my stomach turn. The child inside her is not mine. We used to be happy, or at least I believed we were. She was the only person I ever trusted completely, the one I thought would never betray me. But I was wrong, and now she is paying the price for her greed. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from. New York, California. Somewhere in between. If you have ever been through betrayal like this, hit that like button so I know I am not alone in this journey. And do not forget to subscribe, because this story will show you that sometimes justice does not come from the courtroom, but from being prepared. Now, let me tell you how everything began. My name is Owen. I am 32 years old, a software engineer at a major tech company in Seattle. When I was 25, the startup I co-founded got acquired, and suddenly I had assets worth around $2.3 million. That includes stock options, cash savings, and a house in Capitol Hill with a view that made visitors jealous. I have always been careful with money, not because I am cheap, but because I learned early what happens when you are not. When I was 14, my parents went through a divorce that tore our family apart. It was not the separation that hurt the most. It was watching my father lose nearly everything because he never protected himself. No prenup, no financial planning, just blind trust that ended with him in a studio apartment, while my mother kept the house he built with his own hands. He told me one night, his voice hollow, never marry without protection. He was not talking about love. He was talking about assets. That lesson carved itself deep into my mind. In the fall of 2016, I met Sarah at a charity gala in downtown Seattle. She was 28 then, working as a marketing manager for a small fashion brand. She made about $55,000 a year, lived in a tiny studio apartment in Ballard, and had no real savings to speak of. But money was not what drew me to her. Sarah had this way of talking about her dreams, about opening her own boutique someday, that made me believe she genuinely cared about passion over profit. Looking back, I realize I confused ambition with authenticity. We dated for 2 years. She was attentive, supportive, present. When work stressed me out, she would cook dinner and listen to me vent about impossible deadlines. When I talked about my family, she seemed to understand the wounds my parents' divorce left behind. In November of 2018, I proposed to her at Kerry Park, overlooking the city lights. She cried and said yes. Everything felt right. 3 months before our wedding, I brought up the prenup. We were sitting in my apartment, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows facing Elliott Bay. The sunset painted the water in shades of orange and pink. I remember feeling nervous, worried she might take it the wrong way. I explained carefully. "It is not about us," I said. "It is about protecting what I built before we met." I told her about my father, about watching him lose everything. I needed her to understand this was not personal. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I understand," she said. "You have worked hard for this. I respect that." Her response made me fall for her even harder. I thought I had found someone who truly got it, who valued me for more than my bank account. The prenup was straightforward. Any assets I had before marriage stayed mine. Anything we built together would be split equally if we divorced. If we separated before our 10th anniversary, she would receive alimony of no more than $20,000 per year for 3 years. My lawyer made sure every clause was airtight. Sarah signed without hesitation. "I am marrying you for love, not money," she said, smiling at me across the table. I believed her. That was my first mistake. We got married in February of 2019 at a small winery in Woodinville. Only 50 guests. Intimate, warm, perfect. The first year of marriage felt like a dream. Sarah supported me through brutal project deadlines, and I helped her network for better career opportunities. During the pandemic years of 2020 and 2021, we grew even closer. Working from home together, we developed routines, inside jokes, a rhythm that felt sustainable. In late 2021, I helped Sarah launch a small online boutique. I invested $30,000 from our joint account money we had saved together. She was so excited, staying up late, curating products, building her brand. I loved seeing her happy. By 2022, though, something shifted. Sarah started attending more networking events, coming home later. I was buried in a new project at work, managing a team of 15 engineers, so I did not pay close attention. We tried to have a baby, but nothing happened. Sarah blamed stress from her business. I believed her. Then at the end of 2024, Sarah brought up the prenup again. She framed it gently at first. "We have built so much together," she said one evening over dinner. "The prenup feels outdated. Now, do you not think I told her I would think about it? But honestly, I did not see a reason to change anything. The agreement was fair. She did not push hard, so I let it drop. I should have wondered why she cared so much. I should have asked more questions, but I was tired from work and I trusted her." March of 2025 changed everything. One night I came home earlier than usual, around 9, instead of my typical 11. Sarah was on the couch, and when I walked in, she practically threw her phone face down on the cushion. "Just work stuff," she said, but she would not meet my eyes. Her voice had this edge I had never heard before. I felt uneasy, but told myself I was being paranoid. I did not want to be that husband, the one who checks his wife's phone or demands explanations for every little thing. A week later, I was using our shared iPad when a notification popped up. We were on the same Apple ID for convenience. The message was from someone saved as D. It said, "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow." My chest tightened. I asked Sarah about it casually that evening. "Oh, that is Diane," she said without looking up from her laptop. "New coworker. We are planning a project together." I nodded and let it go. That was my second mistake. In early April, Sarah came to me with news that should have been joyous. "I am pregnant," she said, her hand on her stomach, eyes bright. "Oh, and we are having a baby." I felt shock first, then a rush of happiness. We had been trying for so long. "This is amazing," I said, pulling her into a hug. She told me she was about 6 weeks along. "It is a miracle," she whispered. But that night, lying in bed while Sarah slept beside me, I started doing the math. 6 weeks ago, I had been in Austin for an entire week on a business trip. Before that, Sarah and I had not been intimate for nearly 2 weeks because she said she was swamped with a big project for her boutique. The timeline did not add up. A cold feeling settled in my gut, the kind you get when you know something is wrong but do not want to believe it. I did not confront her. Instead, I made a call to Marcus, a private investigator who had done corporate work for my company before. "I need you to look into something," I told him. He did not ask questions. 2 weeks later, Marcus handed me a manila envelope so thick it barely closed. Inside were dozens of photographs, printed text messages, hotel transaction records. My hands shook as I went through them. D was not Diane. D was Damian Cole, a 38-year-old personal trainer at the gym. Sarah had joined back in October of 2024. The photos showed a man who looked exactly like what you would expect from someone who made a living off their appearance. Muscular, covered in tattoos, an Instagram account with 23,000 followers, showing off workout routines and protein shake recipes. He was not special. He was a cliché. The timeline Marcus uncovered was painfully clear. Sarah started going to that gym in October. By November, her text messages with Damian shifted from friendly to flirtatious. In December, there were photos of them checking into a hotel in Bellevue together. From January through February, they met at least twice a week, sometimes more. The dates matched perfectly with when I was working late or traveling. March was when Sarah got pregnant. The math was undeniable. The worst part was not the affair itself. It was reading the messages. Sarah told Damian that Owen does not understand me. She called our marriage a mistake. She complained that I was always working, always distant, though she never once asked me to change or told me she was unhappy. But here is what caught my attention. In all those messages, Sarah never mentioned divorcing me. She never told Damian she wanted to leave. Instead, she kept saying she would figure things out. That phrase haunted me. Figure what out? How to have both lives. How to keep my money while sleeping with him. One photo gutted me more than the rest. It showed them at a brunch cafe, Damian, holding Sarah's hand across the table. She was laughing, her whole face lit up in a way I had not seen in months. Maybe years. I stared at that photo for a long time, trying to remember the last time she looked at me like that. I could not. I did not confront Sarah immediately. I needed to think, to plan. Marcus had given me the evidence. Now I needed to understand what Sarah was really after. In the first week of May, she launched her campaign in earnest. We were having dinner when she brought it up again. "Now that we are having a baby," she said, cutting her chicken carefully, "we should update our financial agreement. It is not fair that everything is so one-sided." She wanted to remove the clause protecting my premarital assets. She suggested raising the alimony to $100,000 per year if we divorced. "I need to feel secure, Owen," she said, her eyes welling up with tears. "What if something happens to us? What about our child's future?" I told her I would think about it, watching her face carefully. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said she knew I would do the right thing. Over the next 2 weeks, Sarah increased the pressure. She cried more. She talked about feeling insecure and unappreciated. She used the pregnancy, her hormones, her fears about the future. I played along, saying I was considering it, that I wanted to talk to my lawyer first. Every delay seemed to frustrate her more. Then one night, Sarah left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. She had gone upstairs to shower. I should not have looked, but something made me walk over. Her email was open. Right there on the screen was a draft message to a divorce attorney I had never heard of. The subject line read, "Options for invalidating prenuptial agreement." My blood went cold as I read. Sarah was asking about ways to void our prenup, specifically mentioning duress and fraud as possible angles. But the part that made me sick was further down. She explained that she wanted to revise the prenup first, then file for divorce. She wanted to claim half of everything I owned. She mentioned the baby, saying it was mine, and that she would seek child support in addition to alimony and asset division. The calculated cruelty of it took my breath away. She was not confused or scared. She was running a con. What made it worse was realizing Damien had no idea. In all those messages Marcus showed me, Sarah never told Damien about her plan. She let him think they had a future together. She was using him the same way she was using me, just differently. I called my attorney, Eleanor Grant, the next morning. Eleanor was known in Seattle as a shark, someone you wanted on your side in any legal fight. I had hired her to draft my prenup 7 years ago, and now I needed her again. I showed her everything. The photos, the messages, the timeline proving the baby could not be mine. The email draft about voiding the prenup. Eleanor studied the documents with the focus of a surgeon examining X-rays. "The prenup is rock solid," she finally said. Sarah signed willingly. She had access to legal counsel. There was no duress, no fraud in its creation. No court will overturn it. I felt relief, but Eleanor held up her hand. However, she continued, "We should not just defend. We should counterattack." She laid out a strategy. First, we would insist on a paternity test immediately after the baby was born. When it came back, proving I was not the father, which we knew it would, we would use that as evidence of adultery. Washington is a community property state, she explained. So adultery does not typically affect property division, but it destroys credibility. More importantly, Sarah's attempt to revise the prenup while pregnant with another man's child, while planning to claim that child was mine, that constitutes fraud. Attempted fraud against me. Eleanor also suggested I hire a forensic accountant to audit all our joint accounts and business dealings. We needed to make sure Sarah had not been moving money around preparing to hide assets. I agreed to everything. I also had the accountant document, the $30,000 I had invested in Sarah's boutique. That was a gift from marital funds, but I wanted clear records of everything. The hardest part was the waiting. I knew a confrontation was coming, but I needed to be ready. I spent 2 weeks gathering documents, organizing evidence, preparing myself emotionally. I saw a therapist, Dr. Patricia Yee, who specialized in betrayal trauma. She helped me understand that what I was feeling, the rage and hurt and disgust, was normal. She also helped me see that I needed to stay calm when the moment came. Emotion would not win this fight. Preparation would. The confrontation happened on a Tuesday night in late May. Sarah brought up the prenup again, more aggressive this time. "If you really love me and this baby," she said, her voice rising, "you will tear up that stupid contract. It is insulting. It makes me feel like you do not trust me." I looked at her for a long moment. "All right," I said. "I will agree to revise it. Under one condition." Her eyes lit up. She actually smiled. "What condition?" she asked, eager. "I need you to take a paternity test. Right now, before we change anything." The color drained from her face. What she stammered, "Why would you even ask that?" "Because I know Sarah," I said quietly. "I know everything." I placed the manila envelope on the table between us. She stared at it like it was a bomb. I slid out a few photos. Her and Damien at the hotel. Her and Damien holding hands at brunch. Text message printouts. She tried to deny it at first. "Owen, this is not what it looks like," she said, her voice shaking. But there were too many photos, too many messages. The evidence was overwhelming. When denial stopped working, she switched tactics. She started crying. "It was a mistake," she sobbed. "I was lonely. You are always working. I still love you. We can fix this." I listened without expression. "You do not love me," I said. "You love my money, and you thought you could trap me with someone else's baby." Sarah's tears stopped. Her face hardened. "Fine," she snapped. "We will let the court decide. I will still get half of everything we built together. That house, your investments, all of it." I smiled then, the first real smile I had managed in weeks. "No, Sarah, you will not. I suggest you read our prenup again, every single word." Her confidence flickered. "What are you talking about?" I leaned forward. "I know about your plan to revoke the prenup. I know about the email to that divorce lawyer. I know you were going to claim this baby is mine to get more money, then divorce me and take half of everything. The only problem is I protected myself, just like you tried to destroy me. The difference is I have the law on my side." Sarah's face went pale. "You went through my computer," she shouted. "That is illegal." "Actually," I said calmly, "in Washington, spouses have access to shared devices and accounts. Our laptop is marital property. But even if it were not, your fraudulent scheme is far worse than me protecting myself. We are getting divorced, Sarah. The prenup will stand. You will not get anything beyond what we agreed to 7 years ago." She threatened me then. "I will tell everyone you are abandoning your pregnant wife," she hissed. "People will hate you." "Go ahead," I said. "But when that paternity test comes back showing that baby is not mine, everyone will know exactly who you are. Not me." I filed for divorce the first week of June. Sarah fought back hard, hiring an attorney and claiming emotional distress. She tried to paint me as a cold, controlling husband who drove her into another man's arms. Her lawyer argued that the prenup should be invalidated because Sarah had been under emotional duress when she signed it, which was absurd. Eleanor destroyed that argument with documentation showing Sarah had weeks to review the prenup, access to independent legal counsel, and no pressure from me whatsoever. Then, Eleanor presented our evidence. The affair, the timeline, the messages showing premeditation, the email draft proving Sarah had been planning to defraud me. Sarah's attorney looked at everything, and I saw his face change. After a private conference with Sarah, he came back and advised settlement. "You will lose in court," he told her loud enough for us to hear through the conference room door. "Take what you can get." In July, Sarah gave birth to a baby boy. I did not go to the hospital. 3 days later, we had the paternity test done. The results came back exactly as expected. 0% probability I was the father. Eleanor immediately submitted this to the court as evidence of adultery and fraud. Damien found out the truth around the same time. Apparently, Sarah had kept him in the dark about her scheme too. He was shocked, angry, feeling used just like I was. At first he refused to take responsibility, but once the test confirmed he was the biological father, he reluctantly accepted it. Though from what I heard through mutual acquaintances, his relationship with Sarah fell apart almost immediately. He felt manipulated. He was right. By August, we reached a final settlement. Sarah would receive exactly what the prenup specified. $20,000 per year for 3 years, totaling $60,000 in alimony. A fraction of what she had planned to take. The boutique was determined to be marital property, since we had funded it with joint savings. We split it 50-50, but after debts, its value was only about $40,000. Sarah also had to pay a portion of my legal fees, because the court found she had been acting in bad faith with her fraudulent scheme. In total, Sarah walked away with roughly $80,000 from the boutique split plus $60,000 in alimony over 3 years. $140,000. Compared to the millions she had wanted, she lost completely. I kept the house, all my investments, and every asset I had built before we met. The prenup did exactly what it was designed to do. Sarah had to move out of our home. She went back to live with her mother in Tacoma, nearly an hour south. I heard through friends that her relationship with Damien completely disintegrated. He felt betrayed, realizing she had been using him. He blocked her number and refused contact beyond what was legally required for the baby. Sarah was now a single mother, trying to make it on freelance marketing work that barely covered her expenses. Her boutique closed within 2 months of the divorce being finalized. Without capital to keep it running, and her attention divided by a newborn, the business collapsed. I heard she had to apply for state assistance to help with childcare costs. Damien paid child support because the court ordered it, but as a personal trainer, his income was not substantial. The life Sarah had now was the exact opposite of what she had schemed for. Instead of wealth and security with my money, she was struggling alone. One day, about a month after everything was finalized, Sarah sent me an email. It was long, rambling, full of apologies. She said she had made the biggest mistake of her life. She said she missed what we had, that she realized too late what she had thrown away. She begged me to forgive her, not to get back together, but just so she could have some peace. I read it once, then I deleted it. I did not reply. The months after the divorce were hard, but not because I missed Sarah. I mourned the person I thought she was, the marriage I believed we had. I mourned the trust I had given so freely. Dr. Yi helped me work through those feelings in therapy. She made me understand that betrayal trauma is real, that what I was experiencing was normal and valid. She also helped me see that I had done the right thing by protecting myself, that the prenup was not cynical, it was smart. I started reconnecting with friends I had neglected during my marriage. I joined a hiking group that met every other weekend. I rediscovered my old passion for photography, spending Saturdays driving to the mountains with my camera. Slowly, the weight I had been carrying lifted. In October, I went on a trip to Iceland with the hiking group. It was the first time in over a year that I felt truly free, standing on black sand beaches under the northern lights. On that trip, I met Julia. She was a teacher from Portland, also healing from a painful breakup. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. There was no pressure, no schemes, just two people enjoying each other's company. We stayed in touch after the trip, texting occasionally, meeting for coffee when our cities aligned. I was not ready to rush into anything, and neither was she. But it felt good to connect with someone genuine. By late fall, my life had transformed. I got promoted at work to senior engineering manager, with a significant raise that pushed my income even higher. My house felt like mine again, not a museum of a failed marriage. I started hosting friends for game nights, filling the space with laughter instead of tension. I was rebuilding, and it felt solid this time. Real. Looking back now, I do not regret the prenup. It saved my financial life. But I learned something deeper through this nightmare. A prenup protects your assets, but it cannot protect your heart. You can have all the legal documents in the world and still get destroyed emotionally if you choose the wrong person. The lesson my father taught me about protecting myself financially was valuable, but he forgot to teach me to protect my heart with the same care. I approach relationships differently now. I am cautious, yes, but not closed off. I verify trust over time instead of giving it blindly. I watch for red flags and actually acknowledge them, instead of making excuses. That does not mean I am cynical or paranoid. It means I am wise. There is a difference between being careful and being afraid. And I have finally learned where that line is. As for Sarah, I do not hate her. Honestly, I feel sorry for her. She had a good life, a husband who loved her, financial security, real opportunities. She threw it all away because she wanted more and was willing to destroy everything to get it. Greed made her reckless. Entitlement made her cruel. And in the end, she lost everything while I lost nothing but illusions. I am standing on my balcony right now, looking out at the Seattle skyline. It is the same view I had 7 years ago when I first talked to Sarah about the prenup. But everything feels different now. Lighter, clearer. My phone buzzes with a text from Julia. Still on for dinner. Tomorrow, I smile. A genuine smile that reaches my eyes. I do not know what the future holds with her or anyone else. Maybe something real will develop. Maybe not. But this time, I will protect both my assets and my heart. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is building a better life and never looking back. Sarah wanted my money and got nothing. I wanted peace and found everything. That is justice. That is freedom. And that is how I won. So here is my question for you. Do you think a prenup is the real solution? Or is it about choosing the right person in the first place? Have you ever had to protect yourself from someone you loved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you have not already, subscribe, because I have more stories about betrayal, justice, and finding yourself again after everything falls apart. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you protect both your heart and your future. Stay wise, stay strong, and remember that you deserve someone who values you for who you are, not what you have.